There's a simple truth that separates thriving raised beds from lifeless ones. Worms. When you dig into your soil and see earthworms wriggling through it, you're looking at living proof that your garden is healthy, fertile and alive. But here's the part many gardeners overlook. Worms may be hard-working, but they're also incredibly fragile. A few small mistakes can wipe them out entirely, and when worms disappear, raised beds quickly turn into compacted, exhausted boxes of soil that can't support strong harvests. If your goal is a flourishing raised bed that keeps giving season after season, you need to protect your underground partners. Let's uncover 12 common mistakes that silently kill earthworms and explore practical fixes you can start using right now to bring life back into your soil. One of the fastest ways to destroy a healthy worm population is by drenching your raised beds with synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. Chemical fertilizers leave behind salts that burn worms' skin and dehydrate their bodies. Pesticides don't just kill pests, they wipe out entire soil communities, including the very creatures that keep your garden alive. The smarter solution is to feed the soil naturally. A layer of compost, worm castings or well-rotted manure added once or twice a season gives your plants all they need without harming worms. If you prefer a liquid option, skip synthetic feeds and brew a compost tea. Mix 1 part finished compost with 5 parts water, let it steep for 24 hours, then strain and pour directly into your raised bed. This gentle tonic nourishes soil microbes that worms depend on, creating a safe and fertile environment underground. Soil that is left exposed suffers from extreme temperature swings, rapid evaporation and erosion, all of which spell disaster for earthworms. Many gardeners apply mulch in summer, but forget it as soon as the season changes, leaving worms unprotected in winter. Mulch should be treated as a year-round necessity. In winter, shredded leaves or straw act like a quilt that insulates soil and shields worms from freezing temperatures. In summer, lighter mulches such as grass clippings or finely chopped leaves keep soil cool and moist. Consistent mulch not only protects worms but also suppresses weeds, reduces compaction, and, slowly breaks down into organic matter that feeds the soil naturally. Earthworms do not breathe through lungs like we do. They breathe through their skin. For them to survive, they need a constant thin film of moisture around their bodies. Raised beds, however, dry out faster than in-ground gardens, especially during hot or windy weather. If your soil ever crumbles like dust or feels like dry cake mix, worms are already dying off. The fix is simple yet powerful. Always water deeply so moisture penetrates at least 6 inches into the soil, where worms live and build their tunnels. Pair this with a protective mulch layer to slow evaporation. For gardeners who, prefer a bit of comfort, early morning or evening watering is best. Not only is it easier on you, but it also ensures water stays in the soil rather than, evaporating away. It's tempting to throw fresh manure or half-decomposed compost straight into your raised beds, but honestly, this mistake can wipe out worms quickly. Fresh manure is loaded with ammonia and salts, and as it breaks down, it generates heat that burns worms. Unfinished compost, often called hot compost, produces acids and more heat as it continues to decompose. Instead, always wait until manure is at least 6 months old before adding it to your beds. Finished compost should look dark, crumbly and uniform. It should feel cool and smell earthy, not sour or sharp. Patience pays off. When you give worms fully broken down organic matter, they thrive and repay you with rich castings that feed your plants far better than raw material ever could. Worms cannot live on plain soil alone. They need a constant supply of decomposing organic matter to eat and transform into nutrient-rich castings. If you only refresh your soil once at the start of the season and never add food again, worms quickly run out of resources. Treat your worms the way you'd treat a pet. Feed them consistently. Small amounts of vegetable peels, coffee grounds, or crushed eggshells every couple of weeks are enough to keep them thriving. Always tuck scraps under mulch to prevent attracting pests. For larger raised beds, trench composting works wonders. Simply dig a shallow trench, bury your kitchen scraps and cover with soil. Within days, worms will find the feast and turn it into black gold right where your plants need it most. Generations of gardeners were taught that turning over the soil every season was a sign of good care. In raised beds, that habit does more harm than good. Every time you dig or till deeply, you destroy worm tunnels, collapse their airways, and disrupt networks of beneficial fungi and microbes. The healthier and easier approach is the no-dig method. Spread compost, manure or mulch on top and let worms do the rest. If you encounter compacted spots, use a broad fork to gently aerate without flipping layers. This preserves the delicate underground ecosystem while still giving roots the oxygen they need. Over time, you'll actually notice more worm castings on the surface, a clear sign that your underground workforce is thriving. When beds are left exposed after harvest, the sun bakes the soil into a crust, heavy rain washes nutrients away, and worms lose both food and shelter. A far better strategy is to grow cover crops. Options like clover, vetch or buckwheat protect soil from erosion, provide shade to keep it cool, and add organic matter once they're cut down and left to decompose. Cover crops feed worms, improve soil structure and prepare your raised bed for the next growing season, all while keeping your garden alive year-round. Raised beds are meant to provide loose, airy soil, but stepping inside them or using heavy tools crushes the delicate structure. Worm tunnels collapse, oxygen disappears and the soil becomes hostile to life. The fix is straightforward. Never walk inside your raised beds. Work from the sides and use lightweight hand tools. If your soil is already compacted, you know it's best to gently lift and loosen it with a broad fork, rocking it back just a bit without turning it over. This restores airflow while protecting worms and microbes. Many gardeners, often without realizing it, poison their worms before planting a single seed. Beds built with treated lumber, railroad ties or painted timbers release chemicals into the soil over time. Worms absorb moisture directly through their skin, so even trace toxins can weaken or kill them. When building raised beds, always choose untreated woods like cedar or redwood. These resist rot naturally, you see, without chemical preservatives. Another excellent choice is food-grade galvanized metal, which lasts for decades while keeping soils safe. By starting with safe materials, you create a healthy home for worms right from the beginning. Placement matters more than most gardeners realize. Beds placed in deep shade stay cold and damp, slowing worm activity. Beds placed in low spots without drainage can flood during heavy rains, drowning worms that breathe through a thin film of oxygen-rich water on their skin. The solution is to aim for balance. Place beds in areas with at least 6 hours of sunlight each day and make sure drainage is adequate. If water pools in your yard, raise your beds higher or add a layer of gravel at the bottom. You know, a well-chosen location really does create the perfect environment for worms to thrive, season after season. Soil pH matters not only for plants, but also for worms. Many gardeners, perhaps in a rush, swing pH levels drastically by dumping large amounts of lime, ash or sulfur into their beds, thinking they're fixing a problem quickly. In reality, worms struggle to breathe, feed and reproduce when the soil shifts outside the safe range of 6.0 to 7.5. The right approach is patience. If lime is necessary, use no more than 1 cup per 10 square feet and always water it in thoroughly. For gentler adjustments, try liquid seaweed. Mix 1 tablespoon of liquid seaweed into 1 gallon of water and pour evenly across your bed. This gradual worm-friendly method improves soil health without shocking the underground community. Finally, one of the most overlooked mistakes is never testing your soil. Without knowing its pH, nutrient balance or organic matter content, you may be gardening in conditions that quietly stress worms and plants alike. Healthy soil is not just dirt. It is a living network of worms, microbes and fungi working together. If one part of that system weakens, the whole community suffers. Every couple of years, use an affordable soil test kit from a garden centre or extension office. Adjust slowly, never drastically, and focus on long-term soil health by adding compost and protecting biology with mulch. When worms and microbes are thriving together, your plants will show the results above ground. Earthworms are the silent workforce of every healthy raised bed. They tunnel, recycle and fertilize in ways no tool or chemical can replicate. But they rely on us to avoid the mistakes that make soil hostile to life. By skipping chemicals, protecting soil with mulch and cover crops, feeding worms consistently, and making gentle, informed adjustments, you create a true sanctuary underground. Protect your worms, and they will reward you with fertile soil, healthier plants and harvests richer than you ever imagined. If you found this guide valuable, make sure to subscribe to Timeless Crops Haven for more senior-friendly gardening wisdom. And don't forget to share this with a fellow gardener. Together, we can grow gardens that are not just productive, but truly alive.